Hello, friends. It's finally here. The last boot room of the season, looking ahead to Town's final game. We finally got to this point. My name is Mark Heath. With me this week, Andy Warren to break down Town's last game at home to Fleetwood on Sunday. Hutchie, we've waited for this for a while. After this game's gone, we can get into the exciting part of the summer. So many exciting things happening this summer at Ipswich Town. But I guess going into this game, the key talking point is going to be how many of the players we see on the pitch on Sunday will be pulling on blue for the very final time.
Yep, that's the big talking point for this one. Ipswich can finish between 9th and 14th. Quite honestly, doesn't really matter, does it? Where they finish out of that, they'll want to finish on a high. Paul Cook's actually unbeaten at Portman Road. He'd like to keep that up, but that's probably all that's really on the line because, like you say, it's going to be a massive summer at Ipswich. So much change, and there's every chance a good number of the players that are on the pitch tomorrow may not be at the club come August time. Chief among them is very much Luke Chambers and Cole Skews. They've been at the club 17 years combined, nearly 700 appearances between them. Could well be the last time that either of them play for Ipswich Town tomorrow. They're both out of contract. Both have been out of the team of late. Chambers, in my mind, figures to come back into this side. I'd be bringing him back in regardless, if it is to be a final appearance, that is. But I think he'll start at right back with Kane Vincent-Young out with a shoulder injury. Cole Skews, he's not even been making the 18 of late, but there's every chance he could make the bench. There's others as well. Gwion Edwards has been starting regularly for Ipswich. He's out of contract. Crucially, there's no option there, so they need to agree a new contract. Mark McGuinness, he's on loan from Arsenal, obviously. Could be going back. Troy Parrott, Troy Parrott's on loan from Tottenham. He'll be going back. Teddy Bishop, if Troy Parrott doesn't start, Teddy Bishop could be in at that number 10 position. He's out of contract as well, and there'll be a few others on the bench. So, like you say, big old summer coming up, and every chance that we're seeing some final Ipswich Town appearances on Sunday in the finale with a little F against Fleetwood.
Yeah, and you spoke to Paul Cook this morning, his final press conference of the season. Monday is D-Day, isn't it? That's when he's going to sit down with all these players and tell them whether or not they've got a future at Portman Road. Yeah,
he says he's had his decisions made in his own mind for a while. I don't think every single player is going to be getting some news they weren't expecting. I think there are probably some that know what's coming. Emir Hughes and maybe Freddie Sears are among them. But yeah, Monday's going to be a busy day, not a particularly nice day for Paul Cook. I wouldn't imagine having to tell a number of people that they're needed to search for new employment from now, really. He, in his own way, tries to make light of these things. He made a joke this morning suggesting it would be easier to tell you the ones that are going to stay, but then quickly reverted into, look, we need to, all things being serious, we need to remember these are people's livelihoods, their families, kids in schools, upping sticks, moving home. So I think Monday is going to be a painful day for many at Playford Road at the training ground, but it's a day that's been coming for quite a while. We've known that this has been coming.
And if you wonder what we think about who should stay and go, we've done a podcast around that theme, the Brutally Honest Contract Discussion podcast. Go back and watch that and listen to it if you've not been involved with that already. And also, Mr. Cook this morning, Hutchie, there were a couple of other updates worth mentioning. One, another departure from Town on the coaching side of things, and also an update you alluded to a bit earlier on Mr. Vincent-Young.
Yeah, Vincent-Young, he dislocated his shoulder at Shrewsbury on Tuesday night. It looked painful. It sounded painful. We could hear sort of his painful screams from where we were sitting. He's obviously out this weekend as a result of that. I think he'll need a minor operation, which in normal times would sideline him for between 4 and 6 weeks. Sadly for him, that 4 to 6 weeks coincides with his summer break. So I don't know if that's going to restrict what he would be able to do on his holidays, but he should be fit and ready to go again for pre-season training, which is the most important thing for Vincent-Young, because although there was a sense he was over his injury worries, there was always an underlying feeling that actually what he really needed was to get through to the summer and get a pre-season in his locker. So hopefully this shouldn't impact that. The departure you mentioned there is Matt Gill. He's the final coach remaining from the Paul Lambert era. We know Jimmy Walker had already departed, the goalkeeping coach, but Matt Gill has left the club now. A good coach, a well-respected coach, but Paul Cook's pretty clear. He wants fresh ideas, fresh voices, fresh people. So there's going to be some additions on the coaching front, but hopefully Matt's back in the game sooner rather than later.
Okay, Hutchie, final time this season then. What do you think Mr. Cook's going to do with his final Ipswich Town team of this season and the final time we're going to see this team on the pitch, certainly with many of those players? What do you reckon is going to happen?
I'll flash it up on the bottom here. I don't think there's going to be anything too dramatic. I think it will be similar to the team that's played these last couple of games, but I would imagine that Luke Chambers will come into it, not necessarily for sentimental reasons if it is to be his final game, but because they need a right back, and he's performed at right back for much of the season. I think he'll come in on the right side of the fence. So Wolfenden, McGuinness, Kenlock with him in front of Cornell, Downs to Zell, the base of midfield, two wingers, Edwards and Dobra, Troy Parrott possibly continuing at the number 10. I would personally go for Teddy Bishop in there, but I think he may go Parrott, and then James Norwood will lead the line. So I don't think we're going to be seeing anything overly dramatic with Paul Cook starting 11 for this game.
Okay, and also for the final time then, we have to talk predictions. It would be lovely, wouldn't it, if Ipswich Town finished on a high on Sunday, 12 o'clock kickoff Sunday, with a win against Fleetwood. Unfortunately, Hutchie, I can't see it happening. I'm going to go for another 0-0, which would be a fitting way to end what has been a dreadful season on the pitch. Obviously, off the pitch, it's been incredibly exciting and interesting. There's been a lot happening, but on the pitch, there's been way too many 0-0s, and I can see Town finishing with a goalless draw on Sunday. How about you?
I'm going to be an optimist. I always try and be an optimist here when football is concerned. Clearly, they're not going to run riot and score goal after goal. That's just not what this team does. But I think with Fleetwood, with nothing to play for either, I think they could win this one. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and a 1-0 win. Probably James Norwood, which would take him to 10 for the season, which is what he's after.
That would be good indeed. And that would be the season over, Hutchie. But you can't wait, can you, to get a little bit of a break? Get the summer fired up, the transfer rumours. I know you love those.
I don't think there's going to be a break this summer, is there? It's going to be a busy old time. The rebuild starts. I don't want to use the phrase new era, but I may as well. New era. It's going to get started. So it's going to be a fascinating summer to see which way they go in terms of rebuilding both the team and the squad.
Okay, well, there you go. New era, you say, fascinating summer. Both those things are true. Thanks for joining us on Boot Room all this season. The next time we talk for one of these, Townside could look very, very different indeed. Thank you all. Thanks for watching, and we'll speak to you again next season.